Hello everyone and welcome to rural Germany. In today's video we are going to build a train bridge and we are going to detail under and around it. The main goal of this episode is to detail this valley so that the road leading from Boorsee to Weissenburg is fully detailed, because this part that we are detailing right now and will be doing so for the rest of the video was still empty, and especially with plans for the future I just need to get this area detailed so we can do more first-person drives. As you can see here, we are building this train bridge, and this bridge has two functions. The first one, of course, for the aesthetics, to have something unique to this valley, so that when you're driving through it you instantly know where you are because you know this bridge. And the second purpose is because at some point I want to make a high-speed train line that goes through the entire region, and that line runs through this valley, which also explains the expensive bridge and probably also expensive tunnel, because there's just more money available for high-speed lines compared to those rural lines that you see in the rest of the region. To bring this valley more alive, we also add a farm over here, which was still a pretty tricky task because the area isn't very flat over here. But after a little bit of testing, I found out that it was perfectly possible to build a farm here, and that is what we're doing. You saw that I just PO'd this house and removed the right side of it to make it look more like a farmhouse. I just liked it a little bit more this way. And I also created a little place in front of the farm where, for example, tractors could turn around or they could park. I feel like that is pretty realistic to add something like that. Some stains and tire tracks to finish it off, and then of course add a tractor prop with a trailer to make it feel more alive. We are also adding some hay bales on top of the trailer to make it look like the tractor is in action before we move on to the next building on this farm. This next building is a silo, which I haven't added before, but I just wanted to try it out to see how it looks. We are using the silo from the Industries DLC. It just looks pretty good, especially when you size it down with PO, which we are doing because otherwise it would be way too big. So I just decided to use that and not bother myself with getting even more assets on the workshop, because if it works, right? And if it looks good, then there's no need to get something custom. To finish off this area, we are adding some grass assets around the farm, and then I'll be right back for the next little build. So the next small build that we're going to do in this video is a railroad crossing of a rural road that leads from the main road and farm to the other side of the train tracks, and then somewhere through the mountains it ends up at Weissenburg. You see these roads a lot. Old connection roads before the main roads were there, that nowadays are barely used but are still there and mainly used by either tourists that want to start a walking trip from one of these roads, or local residents that need this road to get to their piece of land. I just placed a few tire tracks leading up the hill to function as a kind of walking path that leads into the woods, and it also functions as a entrance road for the field on the left of the path, which is owned by the farm that we just made. He can't just drive his tractor across the train tracks, so he has to take the railroad crossing and then this path to get to his field. On the other side of the train tracks I wanted to try out something new, and that is using rock decals to simulate a rock formation. Just a small one, but it is just one of these small details that makes these small things look really good, and I am happy that this decal looks so good that it also looks realistic as a real rock face. So I just decided to include it. We added some trees around the rock face, and now we are adding mountain grass with, later on, a few trees on top to make it look like for the build of the train bridge. They cut down a lot of the forest to make place for the build. After that, trees started to grow. Now you see a field with tall grass and a few patches of trees here and there. We are going to use this technique for most of this hillside, so I'll be right back and enjoy the time lapse. Next up, we are going to detail the intersection of the main road and the rural road that also leads to the farm and the railroad crossing. And this was kind of a struggle because I still wanted to keep the 2x1 lane system, but I also wanted a dedicated left turning lane because otherwise people in the left lane slowing down might not be the best option. And together with that, I also didn't want the drivers to have to make really weird turns when going straight on. So that was a little bit tricky, but at the end I managed to make it function, at least good enough for me. Again, there's not much more to say about it, so I'll be right back after the intersection detailing. For the last part of today's video, we are going to detail the entrance to the valley that we built today. First off, we terraform the sharp edges and add some forests, which isn't too special, but still makes the build feel more complete. And then we move on to creating a rock face next to the train tracks to make it look as if the train tracks really are cut through some rocks to make the slope work, because of course train lines can't be sloped too much because of heavy trains and all that stuff. So this just shows a part where they had to lower the ground a little bit, but they didn't want to remove the rocks on the right side of the train tracks, so they just left it, and in an aesthetic way it just makes it feel a little bit more special as well, because it's not boring grass and trees. So that's why I added this little rock face. Anyways, that's it for today's episode. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Thank you to my patrons for always supporting me, and then I will see you in the next one. Enjoy the cinematics.